Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. I'm Paul Lathrop, your host. Joining me today from Arms Room Radio, good friend of mine, I've known him for a while, Mike Piwowarski. If you've been to GRPC, you've seen him. If you've been to really any Second Amendment related gatherings over the past several years, you probably run into Mike. Mike, thanks for joining us today, man.
Paul, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with Arms Room Radio. When did you start it, and why did you start it?
It was kind of a fluke the way Arms Room Radio got started. We had a gun store. Me and the other guys on the show here. Earl, who normally sits here with me on my right hand man, and then our good friend Kevin, who's our gun attorney, who was, I would venture to say, probably at the gun store more than at his law office back in the day. We would just sit around and shoot the breeze like everybody would at a gun store. Well, a friend came in who worked at a radio station, and he would sit there and just laugh with us and say, this is a show. You guys should do this on the radio. And we're like, come on. You're just saying that. You want money from us. And, we finally decided to start it just because, he beat us down so much. We were going to silence him. We did the first two shows, and it really sounded like an infomercial, and we didn't like that. So the three of us decided, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. And we started doing it, all things gun, all the gun time. We weren't worried about the advertising from a gun store or from a law office. We were there to promote Second Amendment values and rights. And inside of 6 months, they bumped us up to a second hour, had us on 6 stations, and now here we are, 6 years later, somewhere just under 50 stations, heard every week, and having a great time doing it.
Very cool. And you are everywhere. I see you at SHOT Show. I see you at the NRA annual meetings. I see you at GRPC. When Florida Carry last year had a thing down in a camping event in northern Florida, I see you there. What does your travel budget look like every year, man?
Well, luckily we've got a couple of really good sponsors that like to see us on the move. They really like the idea of us being places, and so we're good. We're also fiscally responsible planners. I'll say that we're not flying first class anywhere. That's for sure. And like you, I don't have a problem driving to something that's within 1,000 miles. So, but even then, it's anywhere. I think we've been anywhere from Seattle to the Northeast to, every show we could think of. We go to large gun shows. We go to all the major events. Like you said, NRA, the carry expos. We do them all. We try to get, and the goal is to get all 3 or 4 of us there. And this year we had that planned again. It's been a year since we've had all of us together on these weekend events, and we had it planned for SHOT Show, all of us to be there. And well, of course, we know what happened there.
Yeah, and SHOT Show. That was. As a guy that has been to a bunch of them, I missed last year intentionally. I needed to take a break. But I've been to most of the SHOT Shows since I started that little podcast I ran. But I started going in, 2012. And I've been to most of them since then. And this year, I don't know about you, but I was a little bit relieved because there's 60 to 80,000 people there every year, and that's a whole lot of people this day and age in one spot.
Yeah, it is. I think we all hoped that whatever the virus is, that it would be gone and healed by now. The politics of that, and I don't want to get off on this. The politics of that virus are worse, I think, than the virus itself. Paul, I don't think that you or I will ever actually know the true numbers of that virus because of the politics that were involved in it. Is it horrible? Is there death involved? No doubt whatsoever. I'm not denying the existence of the virus. I'm saying I have no idea. I watched recently the president and one of the governors fight again about the virus and the vaccine. So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, scary. You and I both know, having been to those SHOT Shows many years, you're going to leave there. Half of the people are going to leave SHOT Shows sick. And a lot of that stuff comes from Asia when we would get that. If you think about the timeline for SHOT Show, Paul, we have I mean, hundreds and hundreds of representatives coming to us from Asia and from China itself to show off new products and new technique. We're there with them in that enclosed space, so people were always going home with the latest version of the crud, and I think there were some of our folks that went the previous year, and that's probably where some of them actually got the COVID-19 as early as January, because I don't know anybody tracked that the way they tracked everything else. They forgot about how SHOT Show was set up. But yeah, it's tough. Didn't know. I wanted to go because I wanted to get out of the house. I wanted to go somewhere, but I also wanted to be safe, just like you said.
Absolutely. So it looks like the next major gathering, and I hope they're ready for it, is the folks in Florida Cary in March are having another get-together camping thing, having a lot of speakers come in. I'm thinking it's been since SHOT Show last year, since we all got together. I'm thinking if we have a vaccine, those boys could be overwhelmed down there.
Yeah, that Florida Cary event, and that was just a couple hundred strong last year. That their outdoor camping event and speaking event that they have there, that was the last event we did last year. And as much as we travel and go everywhere, we tried every place to get somewhere else. That was the last event. Now that one, for the most part, is outdoors, and if you are bringing a tent, you sleep in your own tent with the own people you bring with you. They're not. You don't get there and get assigned 3 tent mates. It's nothing like that. So, and it is for the most part an outdoor event. Under the big top or under the pavilion there where they're doing the speakers. So that's a plus. The size is a plus. It's not going to be a 60,000 event. It'll be a couple of hundred, and looking forward to it. And it's supposed to be a little cooler weather too. So that's always nice for Florida.
Sure. So let's get back to Arms Room Radio. We kind of went off on a sidetrack here. You've been going for 6 years now. So, thinking recently, have you had any guests on that have surprised you, or what's come out that's been really sticks in your head recently with an episode of Arms Room Radio?
For the most part, and when we bring guests on the show, we don't have any, I guess, aha moments. Maybe there's some announcements or something coming up, new product or anything like that. But the Arms Room Radio is all things gun, all the gun time. When we bring people on, they're either gun related or Second Amendment related. We do have a big audience with the law enforcement, and military, and government service kind of people. So we cater a little bit towards them at times. A couple of segments we'll do that, and we've get some good guests on. Obviously we get Mr. Alan Gottlieb on. He's one of the top Second Amendment people in the country. But we'll get Alan West on. He's been a kind of a semi-regular on the program. We've had I'm trying to think of some of our favorites, and they're all great people. Colonel Danny McKnight. He was with the ground commander there on Black Hawk Down. If you remember that, Tom Sizemore's character. So it's always I never put an anti-gunner on the spot. My belief is the anti-gun community owns 90% of the media. Well, they're getting none of my outlet. So everything that we bring you is gun stuff, not gun conflict. No, you want debate, go turn on the regular TV news. From us, you're just going to get information because there's so little being put out. We value the time, and that's all we put out to you.
That's a great point. That when I started my podcast, I was so aware of my facts, and I had everything reasoned out, and I so wanted somebody who was anti-gun to come on. And the more I went along, the more I realized what people who are listening to the show were really wanting is reinforcement, not so much debate, not so much the gotchas. They wanted somebody to reason out what they were already thinking. And is that something you found as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, and just it didn't happen by design. It happened by the methodology that we use on the show is it's the three of us, two of us, depending on the day of the month, the weekend in the month with the schedules. that it's been described as like voyeur radio. You know, it's people have told us it's like sitting in a bar listening to you guys talk about guns. It's like sitting at the gun store listening to you guys talk, and we feel like we're involved and we feel comfortable. Paul, I've had this happen to me many times, and I'm sure you have as well. I'll have people come up at these events and just start a conversation that we might have had on the radio, but with that familiarity of that they know us, and it's hard sometimes because they're so familiar, and we immediately jump into the conversation, and then they walk away, and you're like, maybe I should have got that guy's name. You know, maybe I should have got his number. We could have stayed in touch or something, I guess. You know, because he seemed like he fit in pretty good.
You know, and again, you started radio. You started terrestrial radio. I started podcast. And just a little brief side note, my first week of podcasting, I expected just to go boom. And my very first week, I had 6 listeners, and I was 2 of them. And so,
yeah.
When we started to grow a little bit, I went to Gun Rights Policy Conference, and I wasn't yet broadcasting the thing. I was just another attendee, and somebody walked up and said, "I know that voice." And that surprised me. Do you get that when you're talking in groups? Do people, maybe not so much for your face, but when they hear your voice, they come up and recognize you?
Yeah, and that's weird, you know, because we started in Orlando, Florida, on a little AM mom and pop station, and quickly grew, and like I said, into other stations around the state and around the country. And Orlando, our home station, was our smallest station for those first 2-3 years, and so we didn't get that a lot the first 2 or 3 years. It would be when we'd go to an event and people would, you know, in the industry or in the business, they would recognize the voice and do that. It's only recently, the past 2 or 3 years, that we're on one of the powerhouse stations now in Orlando. That, yeah, you'll be standing in line at the at the wing place, and you'll put your order in, and you'll hear heads snap, and your voice starts coming out. You know, like, I know that voice. Then you have that conversation there in the wing line.
Absolutely. So we're coming up on the end of the time we have this morning. If people are interested in Arms Room Radio, are you now, your terrestrial radio, are you released on podcast as well for if somebody doesn't happen to live in a city where you're on live?
Yeah, we do. Listen, you can go to armsroomradio.com, and there's kind of a current list of where we are on stations. We're on Saturdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturdays, and you can always tune into the live feed there at the armsroomradio.com. After that, now listen, Paul, sometimes it's a couple hours afterwards, sometimes it's a couple days afterwards, depending on the rest of the schedule, because we all have different jobs too. It gets posted up. Now it's on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, so you can catch all last 500-600 shows or whatever we're up to at this point. And you can see or listen to, everything that we've done in the past. And also on Facebook, we're pretty good on Facebook, posting the funny pics and comments during the week. We try to keep people engaged that way.
Very, very cool. Well, everybody, this is Mike Piwowarski, and I had to practice that several times, even though I've known Mike for a long time. But go check out Arms Room Radio, and if you wouldn't mind, when you're watching us, subscribe and hit that little notification bell. Let you know when we put another one out. We will be putting another one out tomorrow. Come join us for that.